Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Structure Skill number 6. Okay, before we continue with skill number 6, we're going to do a little review of skills 1 to 5. So we're going to do this exercise right here that you see on the screen, and also a TOEFL exercise, which is also 10 exercises before we go on to skill 6. Now, in order to do this, we have to review the skills. And this is very good because TOEFL does this, right? Every couple of skills, TOEFL says, okay, let's review everything, right? And the reviews are always good. They're like the tests because they help you remember and refresh and really learn, really consolidate the information that we have been practicing. Now, skill 1, we have to remember a sentence always has to have a subject and a verb, right? That's a clause. First, we find the verb and then we ask who or what is doing that action, and we have the subject, right? So skill number 1, be sure the sentence has a subject and a verb, right? And we practice that. If you want, at any moment, you can go back to the videos and check the skills, right? Number 2 is be careful of objects of preposition, right? Because in this case, we can have a parent noun subject, right? So we can say, oh, that is the subject, right? Like in this example, after his exams, um, right? And we can say, oh, exams is the subject because the subject is always first. Mm, Normally, it's first, but if we have an object of preposition, like in this case, after his exams because of the preposition after, then it's not a subject, it's an object, right? Exams is an object, and then we have to look for the subject elsewhere, right? Later on in the sentence. So be careful of objects of preposition, not to confuse them for subjects. Then we had skill number 3, which is be careful of appositives. Appositives, remember, is the extra information that we find in a sentence, such as in this case, the best student in class, and it's referring to Sally, our subject. So we can confuse, again, student for the subject, and when in reality, that's just extra information. It's like an adjective, right? It's just describing, and that's what we called an appositive. Now, the appositive can either be in between parentheses or at the beginning, right? When it has a comma before it. So here we have the structure, right? Then skill 4 and skill 5 have to do with the verbs, right? In this case, skill 4 has to do with present participles, which are the ing. And we have to remember that we need some type of form of the verb to be for it to be a verb. If there is no form of the verb to be, then it's an adjective, and we have to find the verb elsewhere in the sentence, right? Skill number 5 is very similar too, except that now we're working with past participles, where these are normally the third column or the ed when they're regular verbs, the third column in a verb list. For example, here we can also have a variation of have, has, or again, verb be, and those are verbs, but many times we just have them as solitary, right? Like in this case, purchased or written with no have, has, with no be, and we have to look for, again, the verb elsewhere in the sentence, right? So these are the ways that TOEFL will trick you with subjects and with verbs, all right? So let's do this exercise. I'm going to leave this right here for a moment so you can pause the video. This exercise is very simple because all you have to do is underline the subjects once, the verbs twice, and then indicate if they're correct or incorrect, okay? So right now, pause the video and do number 1 to 10, and we'll check it in a moment, okay? Okay, very good. So let's see. Number 1 says, for 3 weeks at the beginning of the semester, students with fewer than the maximum number of units can add additional courses. Wow, that's TOEFL. TOEFL will have sentences this long, but you have to figure out where the verb is. So here the verb is in can add. And if we ask who or what can add additional courses, students. right? So for 3 weeks, it's an objective preposition at the beginning, objective preposition of the semester, objective preposition with fewer than the maximum number of units, objective preposition. Yeah. So all of that is just extra information there to confuse you. Since we have the subject and the verb, it's correct and no problem. Yeah. Let's check out number 2. On her lunch hour, went to a nearby department store to purchase a wedding gift. Okay, so we have our verb went, and if we ask who or what went to a nearby department store to purchase a wedding gift, the lunch hour? No. So this one's gonna be incorrect because we're missing a subject, right? He went or she went or they went, right? So yes, missing subject. Number 3 says the fir trees were grown for the holiday season were harvested in November. Fir trees means abeto, árboles de abeto, I guess. Well, anyway, we have here a verb, were grown, and we have here another verb, were. Who or what were grown or were harvested? Well, the fir trees. But this is a problem with the past participle, right? Where we have an extra verb, we have 2 verbs. So it's incorrect. In order for this one to be correct, as you have seen in skill 4 and 5, we need to eliminate the verb and just leave it the grown or leave the word grown as a past participle, right? Fir trees grown for the holiday season were harvested in November. So yeah, double verb problem right there. Number 4, in the grove, the overripe oranges were falling on the ground. So we have were falling and who or what were falling on the ground, the overripe oranges, right? In the grove, that's an objective preposition because it starts with the preposition in. And I think this one's no problem. It's correct. All right, now let's check number 5. The papers being delivered at 4 will contain the announcement of the president's resignation. So, will contain is my verb. Who or what will contain? The papers being delivered. Now, if you think that being delivered here is a verb structure, and then we have 2 verbs, so it's incorrect. Being, I mean, if you say, okay, delivered is a past participle, right? And before it, there is a verb to be. Yes. But this verb to be is also a participle. It's a present participle. So there has to be a verb to be before it, right? It's kind of like a domino effect, like going back, back, back. And since there is no verb to be for being, that's adjective, right? That's an adjective participle structure. What papers? The papers being delivered, like the expensive papers, the cheap papers, the good papers, the bad papers. So that's adjective, right? In this case, that one's pretty interesting. But yeah, it would be correct because it has the elements of subject, the papers, and the verb will contain. Okay, let's look at number 6. A specialty shop with various blends from around the world in the shopping mall. What? Well, what's happening here? we just have a bunch of nouns: shop, blends, the world, the mall, but there is no verb, right? So we don't know what's happening. It's incorrect. It could be a specialty shop with various blends from around the world opened up or is in the shopping mall, right? Some type of action. But these are just a bunch of nouns. We don't know what action is happening or what is happening, so it's incorrect. Yeah, missing verb. Number 7, the portraits exhibited in the Houston Museum last month are now in display in Dallas. So are now is my verb, and who or what is now on display? The portraits, right? Or the portraits exhibited in the Houston Museum last month. Exhibited here is not a verb, it's an adjective, right? Because it doesn't have any variation of the verb be or have has before it. And number 7 is correct. Yeah. Number 8, with a sudden jerk of his hand, threw the ball across the field to one of the other players. So we have threw, which is a verb. Who or what threw the ball across the field? His hand? No, right? So we don't know who threw the ball. We need a subject. This one's incorrect. With a sudden jerk of his hand is objects of preposition. So It could be he, she, they threw the ball, right? So yeah, missing subject. Let's look at number 9. Construction of the housing development. It will be underway by the 1st of the month. So will be is my verb. Who or what will be underway? Well, it or construction of the housing development, right? So the problem here is we have two subjects, right? And look at this. It here is kind of hard to spot, but it's incorrect because of one little letter with one little word with two little letters, right? So we have an extra subject and it's incorrect. Double subjects. So we can have things missing or have extra things, and those make it incorrect, right? Okay, let's look at number 10. Those applicants returning their completed forms at the earliest date have the highest priority. So we have here the verb have, and who or what have the highest priority? Well, the applicants, right? Or those applicants returning their completed forms at the earliest date. Returning and completed here are not verbs, they're adjectives, right? So yeah, this one would be correct. And yeah, no problem there. Okay, so if you have any questions on these, let me know in the comments. And now let's do the TOEFL one, which is basically how TOEFL will test you on these 5 skills. So I'm gonna leave this on here for number 1 to, number 1, 2, let's see, how can we do this? We have 10 exercises. Yeah, let's do that. First, do these that are on the screen. Number 1, 2, 3, 7, 4, and 8. And we'll check them in a moment. And after we finish, we'll check number 5, 9, 6, and 10, okay? So pause the video, answer these. These are multiple choice. That's how they come in TOEFL. And we'll check it in a moment. Okay, ready? Number 1 says the North Platte River from Wyoming into Nebraska. So it flows, flowing, or with flowing water. In this case, the correct answer is going to be B, flows, right? The North Platte River flows. We're missing a verb in this case. Now, number 2, Biloxi received its name from a Sioux word meaning first people. The city of, located in, it is in, or the tour included. In this case, it's A. The city of Biloxi received, right? We just have more information for the subject. We don't need a verb. We don't need located in. That's weird. The tour included, another verb. We don't need that. If you ask me why is B incorrect, located in Biloxi received its name. We have a verb, right? Oh yeah, because it would make it an object of preposition in Biloxi, right? And we need Biloxi to just be a subject. Okay, number 3, a pride of lions, up to 40 lions, including 1 to 3 males, several females, and cubs. Can contain, it contains, contain, or containing. Number 3 is going to be A, can contain, right? We don't need a subject. We need a correct conjugation with contain. If you chose contain, it would need an S because we're talking about a pride, which is singular, the group of lions, right? And containing is not a verb, right? We need a verb. Okay, number 4, tea plant are small and white. The, on the, having flowers, the, or the flowers of the. Number 4 is going to be D. The flowers of the tea plant are small and white, right? Let's look at number 7. Henry Adams, born in Boston, famous as a historian and novelist, became, he was, and he became. Number 7 is A, became, right? We just need a verb. And number 8, the major cause, the pull of the moon on the earth is the ocean tides are, the ocean tides is, of the ocean tides in the ocean, or the ocean's tides. Number 8 is going to be B. Let me just check these. Number 1 was B, right? Number 2 was A. Number 3 was A. Number 4 was D. Yes. Number 7, we skipped to 7, right? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we still have to do 6. Number 7 was A, became, and number 8 is B. Yeah. The major cause of the ocean's tides is, yes, singular is with the cause. The cause is, right? Okay. Now let's look at the other ones, which was 5, 6, 9, and 10. Number 5 says the tetracyclines antibiotics are used to treat infections. This one looks like in a positive, right? That extra information. A are a family of, B being a family, C a family of, or D their family is. Number 5 is C, a family of, right? It's just descriptive, but the real sentence is the tetracyclines are used to treat infections. Okay, let's look at 6. Any possible academic assistance from taking stimulants, marginal at best. It is, there is, or as. Number 6 is going to be C. Any possible academic assistance from taking stimulants is marginal at best, right? That whole idea is one idea is it is marginal at best. This means that that idea is not good, right? At best. Number 9, still a novelty in the late 19th century, limited to the rich, was photography. It was photography, or photography was. Number 9 is D. Photography was limited to the rich, right? Still a novelty is all just extra information, but photography was limited to the rich is the real sentence, right? And number 10, a computerized map of the freeways using information gathered by sensors embedded in the pavement on a local cable channel during rush hours. Number 10 is a perfect example of a TOEFL sentence, right? That they're that long with a lot of extra information, right? So airs, airing, air, or to air, we have to detect that here. We just need a verb, right? The subject is map, right? And the map airs on a local, right? With all of that other of the freeways using extra information gathered by sensors. Okay, very good. So now let's go to skill number 6. Skill number 6 is part of a bigger category, which is called sentence with multiple clauses. Now, as I was saying in the beginning, we have to remember here what a clause is. A clause is basically uh, a subject and a verb, right? I think I have mentioned this already. This is very important for the analysis. So if you have a subject plus a verb, that's going to be a clause. A sentence is anything that has meaning. For example, the word wow, which expresses surprise, or help, that's a sentence. And a clause, of course, is a sentence, but not every sentence is a clause, right? Because a clause needs to have a subject and a verb. So we have to remember this. So up to now, we have been working with clauses, right? Like detecting the correct subject, detecting the correct verb. So now we have that identified. We know the subject, we know the verb, and now we're going to be looking at coordinate connectors. Coordinate connectors are very important because they connect clauses. So we can kind of think of it like this. If we have 2 clauses, we're going to need 1 connector. If we have 3 clauses, we're going to need 2 connectors, right? If we have, for example, 4 clauses, how many connectors are we going to need? 3 connectors, right? And so on and so on. So this is very important to remember because in TOEFL, we're going to look at 2 clauses, 2 verbs, and we need to join them with connectors. Now, if you've studied English and you've looked at connectors, there's something called fanboys, which are basically the type of connectors or coordinate connectors that exist. But I think those are like 7, right? Yeah, 7. Here, we're only going to be looking at 5. And, but, or, so, and yet. And yet is like but. Yet is the same idea as but. It's basically a contrary idea, right? And we know it's addition, but and yet are contradictory or contradicting information, or is alternative, and so is the conclusion. Okay. So let's look at some examples of these coordinate connectors at work where we see them with verbs. Okay, let's look at this one. Tom is singing and Paul is dancing. Tom is tall, but Paul is short. Tom must write the letter or Paul will do it. Tom told a joke, so Paul laughed, right? The logical conclusion. And Tom is tired, yet he is not going to sleep. You see here, we can also substitute but for yet, and it's the same idea. Tom is tall, yet Paul is short. Or Tom is tired, but he is not going to sleep, right? That's the same idea. But the main thing is we have to see how they're separating verbs, right? Singing from dancing, is from is, must write from will do it, told from laugh, is from is not going to sleep. So this is very important because sometimes we make the mistake of a run-on sentence, right? Where we don't separate them with connectors. We just separate them with a comma. And we do use a comma, but we need to also use the connector, right? Let's look at this example. A power failure occurred. The lamps went out. Our options are then, so, later, or next. Which do you think is the correct one here? Well, we know we have the answers right here. Then could be, but in this case, we're working with two verbs, right? So the best option is going to be so, because it's the logical conclusion, right? Later and next are also incorrect because those are just adverbs. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on this one. Let's look at a brief graph explaining this, and then we'll do the exercise. So our coordinate connectors are, like we just said, and, but, or, so, and yet. And they go in the middle of two clauses or two subjects and two verbs, right? She laughed, comma, but she wanted to cry, all right? So in the exercise that we're going to do, we have to underline the subjects once, the verbs twice, circle the connectors, right? Then indicate if the sentences are correct or incorrect. So let's look at the first two so we can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing. And then I will let you do them on your own. Okay, I think we can do the first 7 and then we'll do 8 to 10 last. So in number 1, it says the software should be used on a laptop computer, and this computer is a laptop. So it has two verbs, right? Well, a subject and a verb, software, and should be used, a connector, and this computer is, and it's correct, right? It has all the elements. Let's look at number 2. The rain clouds can be seen in the distance, but no has fallen. We have here subject verb, rain clouds can be seen, but my connector, and has fallen is a verb, but we don't have the subject for has fallen, right? It could be, but no rain has fallen or something like that, but it's incorrect because we're missing our subject, right? Okay, so now if you want to pause the video and do number 3 to 7, and we'll check it in a moment. Okay, so let's check this. Number 3 says they are trying to sell their house. It has been on the market for months. Our trying is my first verb. Who is trying? They. And has been is my, not has been on, only has been is my verb. Who or what has been? It. But see, this is what I was talking about. These type of examples exist. They are trying to sell their house, comma, it has been on the market, and this is incorrect. It's incorrect because there is no connector. We need a connector in these type of two ideas or two verb sentences, right? And this happens all the time when we write. We just separate with a comma, and that's incorrect. At least we would need a period and start the new sentence, or a period and a comma, right? A semicolon or a colon. Okay, number 4 says, so the quality of the print was not good. I changed the typewriter ribbon. So was not good, who or what was not good? The quality of the print. And change, who or what changed the typewriter ribbon? I did. We have our connector over here, but it's misplaced. It should be over here, right in the middle. So this one's going to be incorrect. So yeah, up to now, number 3 and number 4 are incorrect. Let's look at number 5. The lifeguard will warn you about the rip tides, or she may require you to get out of the water. So will warn is a verb. Who or what will warn? The lifeguard. May require is another verb structure, and who or what may require? She. You to get out, this is not this is just like extra information from the verb. So this is, we don't count this as a verb. And we have our connector here. So this one has all the elements and apparently it's correct, right? Yeah, number 5 is correct. Okay, let's look at number 6. You should have finished the work yesterday, yet is not close to being finished today. Should have finished the work is my verb structure. Who or what should have finished? You. And is not close to being finished is my verb. This is all part of the verb structure, right? To being finished. But who or what is not close? Well, the work, right? But we have to mention it. So here we're missing a subject. We have our connector, yet, but we don't have the subject, right? So this one is going to be, yes, missing subject, incorrect. Even if we know, we have to put the subject, right? It's the work that we're talking about. The work is not close to being finished, but we have to say it, right? We have to say the subject. All right, let's look at number 7. The phone rang and rang. The phone rang again and again, so the receptionist was not able to get much work done. Rang is the verb here. Who or what rang the phone? And was not able to get much work done is my verb, was. Who or what was not able? The receptionist and the connector. So it makes sense, right? So it's correct. Because of the phone ringing, she couldn't get the work done. Number 7 is correct. Yes. Okay, now I'm gonna have you do number 8, 9, and 10, and we'll check it in a moment, okay? So pause the video. Okay, let's check it. Number 8 says the missing wallet was found, but the cash and credit cards had been removed. Was found is my verb structure here. Who or what was found? The missing wallet. And had been removed is my verb structure over here. Who or what had been removed? The cash and credit cards. And we have our connector, but. So this one is correct. No problem here. Number 8, yes. Let's look at number 9. Or you can drive your car for another 2,000 miles. You can get it fixed. So we have can drive. Who or what can drive? You. Can get it fixed or can get is the verb structure here. Who or what can get it fixed? You. We have our connector here, or, but it's misplaced, right? It should be in the middle over here after the comma. So it's going to be incorrect because there is a misplaced connector. And finally, let's look at number 10. The chemist was awarded the Nobel Prize. He flew to Europe to accept it. Was awarded is my verb structure here. Who or what was awarded? The chemist. Flew is the other verb, right? Second verb. Who or what flew? He. But you guessed it, it's incorrect because we don't have the connector, right? It could be so he flew to Europe to accept it, and he flew to Europe to accept it, right? So some type of connector there is necessary. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I think it's a long video, but a lot of information to cover and to review. Next class, we'll look at skill 7, which is the same thing, practicing with connectors, but now a different type of connectors, time and cost connectors. So I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, and bye.